Hi, today is April 13th, 2024, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 572 for the year, For Oh Fucks. My first oh fuck was a happy oh fuck. It was an oh fuck, it's the Bread and Puppet Theater bus. I love them. My second oh fuck was a mild oh fuck. It was an oh fuck, they're playing today and I'm busy tomorrow, so unless they're here until Saturday, I will miss them. I later learned that they were only here that night, Thursday, when I had a lecture to go to, and the night before when I had a show at La Palopa. My third oh fuck was a reminiscent oh fuck. It was an oh fuck. I remember seeing Bread and Puppet back in the 80s and hearing friends telling me how great it was to go to Vermont and work with them. My fourth and final oh fuck was an oh fuck of relief. It was an oh fuck. I am so glad that the Bread and Puppet Theater still exists. Poem number 573, Correct the Corrector. I wanted to call that last poem For Oh Fucks, but when I typed that out, the internal end quote looked like an apostrophe, and I didn't want anyone to think that I thought that in that context, fuck should get an apostrophe S. I often resist the urge to point out the misplaced apostrophes of others, and sometimes I fail to resist that urge, but I didn't want to be corrected and then have to correct the corrector. Poem number 574, Disjointed Chirping. This morning I was struck by the disjointed chirping. The birds sounded like they didn't have their shit quite together, or maybe there just weren't enough of them, or maybe the few that were out there were too far apart to get it together, or maybe they are sad about something, or maybe I'm just personifying or projecting again as I do. Maybe I'm sad. I don't think I'm sad. Maybe the birds think I'm sad. Now I'm being silly. The birds don't give a fuck about what's going on with me, and I barely give a fuck about what's going on with them. It's just that sometimes the only thing that seems to be going on around here is that the birds are making noise. Sometimes that's enough, and sometimes it isn't. And often I don't notice the chirping, but this morning I did, because it seemed disjointed. Poem number 575, The Birds Don't Care. Maybe the birds know something we don't know. I mean, of course the birds know things we don't know, but maybe the shit that the birds know would just be bullshit to us. And similarly, the shit that we know may be bullshit to the birds. The birds don't give a shit about journalism or literature or art or architecture or television or film. The birds don't care about philosophy or politics or religion, and it's not like the birds are too busy to care about these things. The birds don't seem to do very much at all. Of course, they may well think that most of what we do is unnecessary bullshit, and they may not be wrong. Or it may be that the birds have too much of their own shit going on in their minds. Even if they're not doing much, they may have a lot of concerns. Maybe the birds don't care much about us, but they probably care about something. Poem number 576, Mutual Disinterest. If somehow I were suddenly magically able to talk to a bird, it probably wouldn't care much, if anything, about anything that I had to say. I'd like to think that I'd be more interested in the bird than the bird would be in me, but it's also possible that I would be bored by the bird. Perhaps we could sit on a bench together and watch the sunrise, and perhaps we would both agree that it was beautiful, but perhaps the bird would be bored by the sunrise and want to talk about how sitting on a tree branch is much better than sitting on a bench, and the bird would start explaining why, and I would wish the bird would just fly the fuck away. Or perhaps I would try to explain Hilma af Klint or Grace Paley to the bird, and the bird would wish I would just fly the fuck away. The possibilities are endless for me and the bird, but not all of the possibilities are pleasant. Poem number 577, Drag Kings. I've only ever been to one drag king show in my life. Poem number 577, Drag Kings. I've only ever been to one drag king show in my life. I wonder if it was Lisa Ivy who brought me to that show. It was the Backdoor Boys. They performed an entertainingly vulgar version of the Backstreet Boys song, I Want It That Way. On Thursday, I heard about a drag king performer who would wear a big strap-on cock and invite straight men in the audience to come up and suck it. But I bet if I were to tell that bird about that the bird would be bored. I hope I never become that jaded. And the last poem of the day, poem number 578, The Really Important Things. If I were to tell a bird about the bread and puppet theater, the bird would probably be like, I don't give a fuck about the puppets, but tell me more about that bread. And I tell the bird what I remember about the bread and puppet theater's bread, which would not be very much. And the bird might be judgmental about how little I remember about the really important things. All right, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you.